Hello and welcome along to the start of a brand new season from this FM20 Dorking Wanderers story with me, Daniel. It's season 16, episode 1, and today, as always, is transfer special time. We've got a unique start to the season, which will be the feature of the next episode, away against Dinamo Bucharest in our first ever European game, and at home to Newcastle, a former head coach club. That will be the first Premier League game of the season, as for the first time we've got to juggle 2 games a week, hopefully regularly if we can get through that first playoff. But of course before that we've got a transfer special, and that is the main focus of today. So thank you for coming along for the start of another season. If you are looking forward to it, please do put a thumbs up on the video. We have got a record signing at the club, and I don't just mean a slight improvement. We've doubled our record transfer. We've got a few big players leaving the club, certainly a few fees going out. And although it's not a massive summer in terms of quantity, there's plenty of quality leaving and joining. So some gambles taken, some youth being promoted, and hopefully a chance to have a successful season. So if you haven't already and you want to stay up to date this year, please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. You'll get alerts as daily content releases on the channel. Next week Sunday, we've got a brand new mini-series from FM22. And of course our weekly live streams continue every Tuesday morning, so there's plenty of content to get stuck into. You can also check out our football podcast channel in the eye above. There's loads of content on there and it's going mad at the moment, so thank you so much. But let's crack on with the start of the season, and that, as always, episode 1 is a transfer special. The balance is looking good. We've done quite well financially this summer, despite doubling our record transfer fee, and it is well worth it, let me promise you that. So we'll take a look at those that have joined and left, we'll take a look at where we're expected to finish this season, and then we'll get your predictions down below for what you think we'll do both in Europe and domestically. So let's start by looking at the transfer screen, and we'll go to our release players first. And it's a nice easy one. Just one player leaving the club. It's a youth player who was okay but hadn't quite made it. So he's gone to Bromley, who I think are in League 2 or the National League. They're in the National League, but they did have a spell in the Football League a couple of years back. Just the one season. But he's going to be a good signing for them. However, we want to talk about all transfers, and there are some immediate eyesores here. We have spent £88 million on a Rennes midfielder. We have sold over £40 million worth of talent, including a player for over £30 million. We've put a concerted effort into loan out lots of young stars, and we've managed to get a few cheap squad players to tick us over as well. So it is a big summer to focus on. So let's start, as we always do, with the outs. Colin Petrucci was the first man to leave this window. We knew he dropped to third choice. We had Kieran Pollock, we had Correa, the young right back, coming through. So Petrucci was surplus to requirements. He's gone to Watford, where he's going to start in the Championship. £5.5 million, a very good deal. For a player of his quality, who's been pretty average, if we're being honest, as much as he was a good servant, we are delighted to get that money for him. Had made 82 league appearances for the club, had played in the Premier League and the Championship, and was quite crucial in that promotion winning season, started the whole first half of the year. So they have got fond memories, certainly, there is no doubt in that. And Colin Petrucci, it looks like, will be a Championship player moving forward. And that also applies to Martin Prescott. So I think Norwich are back in the Premier League now. They are, 15th place they are, but they just got promoted, and they have gone big on a £30 million striker, and that is our third choice Prescott. We said we'd like to have kept him around. Third choice striker, a good floating player in the attacking midfield 3 positions, but it's not to be. You can't turn down 30 million for a player who will barely play, for a player who's not even in your second 11. It is just too much. So he's going to go off to Norwich. He's done really well for us. He's getting life-changing money. He's had a life-changing transfer fee. And for us, who were worried about making a profit when signing him for 15.25, we've sold him for double. He never reached double figures in Premier League goals. Though he was a decent servant, he was never a superstar. And that, I think, is an unbelievable deal. We've got a few players going out on loan, lots of youngsters going. Grant Jukovic, a player who made an appearance for us before, scored on his debut. We've got a couple of others defensively, Mark Turner to Morecambe, one to our feeder club Fleetwood, with a couple of more to follow. But the next permanent sale is another big one. Kyle Brown, the centre-half, to Middlesbrough for £2 million. Was out on loan at Southampton the second half of last year. Again, a Championship player. When we came into the Premier League, he was our backup. We got him for $925,000 in our promotion season in the January. He's played a few Premier League games, done a decent solid squad job for us, but it wasn't to be this year. With Roger Solly coming through, a natural right footer, giving us balance at centre half, we had to let him go. So Kyle Brown has gone to Middlesbrough. After a decent spell in the Championship the second half of last year, he's gone again now. And £2 million, again a profit, again a good bit of business for the club. There is absolutely no complaint there. And after a sea of youngsters going out after that, Kane Bromage possibly being the best one. 1.5 star ability, 2.5 potential. He's got a little bit about him, but I don't know he's going to make it. He is a League 2 player now though, so he's in the Football League. He scored goals for Port Vale last year and he's there again this season. After a time with our feeder club Staines, he really has improved, so fair play to him for that at least. But the last one who left was Jan Krizek. He has gone over to Brazil, a bit of a weird move. But £3.5 million, it is a loss. One of the few bits of poor business we've done. We signed him 6.5, 1 season as first choice left back, 2 seasons as backup. And now, unfortunately, we've made a loss on him. But he is a player who had severe injury problems over the last year. He struggled out on loan. Physically, at 23, he's starting to decline rapidly. So I think we've got rid of him in time. He's still out with a broken leg, but he's got to move. And we've managed to recoup some of that money. So I've absolutely no issue with him going. So let me know if there's any issues with the players I've sold. Only 4 big sales really. Of course Prescott the standout and then just a few backup stars. But let me know if you think we've done good business. I think in terms of the sales, we've probably done as well as we can. There were 1 or 2 more we potentially looked at. We got tempted on deadline day with a £70 million offer for Jeff Coppens. But we had no one to get in as a replacement, so I couldn't do it. And with Prescott leaving already, it was too much. But despite that, we have still got a new backup striker, a backup left back to replace Krizek, and a few other backup players in the squad as well. And then, as we mentioned, 1 superstar. And with £88 million, you'd expect that as well. But we'll come back to him in a moment. First is Jason McCrory. Signed before the transfer window opened, coming in on the 9th of June. £12 million from Rangers for an 18-year-old left back. So this guy will become homegrown at the club. We'll replace Krizek as our backup left back and will start in Europe. Of course, we've got Mazzino ahead of him at the moment. Fairly professional, growing in determination, growing in attributes already. A little bit perhaps worried about the aggression. But to be honest, aside from that, his attributes are fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to him being here. He's played 35 league games for Rangers, played some for Clyde before that. At 18, he's got a lot of experience. He's a full Irish international, only on 23 grand a week. And I think in terms of keeping the wage bill under control whilst making big additions, he's potentially going to be a super one. However, he was followed up by the complete opposite of that, which is just a backup free agent player who'd been floating around in the scout reports as an average addition, and we thought going into Europe, what a player to have on the bench. So as an impact sub, we've signed Kieran McQueen, 13.5 grand a week, a free agent. At 23 years of age, he's played over 80 league games for Aberdeen, he's featured for Celtic, he's got full Scottish international caps, and he's also got 2-star ability and 2.5 potential. He's got very good physical attributes, he's very determined, tireless in matches, and he works hard. He's a good team player. He's versatile, can play wing back if we ever want to do that in Europe, can play number 10 and central midfield. And I don't envisage him probably starting any games this season. But in the Carabao Cup, the Europa League 2, in the FA Cup and even some league games, what a player to have on the bench. Versatility, a good character, a cracking moustache by the way, and a box-to-box midfielder, something we don't have too many of. I'm quite pleased to have him in, probably more pleased than you'd think I'd be. I think he's going to be a good squad player. It's those sort of signings you often miss at this level. You either go for those young wonder kids, you go for the star first teamers, and you miss out those backup squad players. You look at Fergie's United, the likes of John O'Shea, who were always there, could come in any position, was the first backup in 3 or 4. And that's the sort of thing we were looking for. So I think Kieran McQueen will be that. And hopefully, he'll be able to prove me right. But the second signing of any value, or transfer fee I should say, is Ewan Davey, who is a young striker from Hibernian. Again, going to Scotland to get our best young players, 9.75 million. And this is a very cheap replacement for Martin Prescott. So if we go and have a look at him, he is a 2.5-star ability striker with 4.5 potential, on about 30 grand a week as a squad player, got 6 Scottish international caps, played over 80 league games for Hibs and scored a few goals already. He's a proper striker, he's a wonder kid, he's professional, he's got it all. He likes to run past his opponent and he's been training well. I mean, I can't understand why he scored so few goals for Hibs. My only worry really is because he's a natural central midfielder, has he been playing there for them? And he's got the attributes too, he's a great Mazzala, he's someone we could look at playing there in the future. But for me, primarily as our backup striker, but the good thing with him being a midfielder is he may get more games off the bench. because the other midfielders, Jonton and Nunes, are very experienced. So if we've got a game where we're 3 or 4 up or 3 or 4 down, he's the man who can come on. Again, great teamwork, great work rate, bit of flair, good off the ball, he does everything. And I'm really excited about getting him. For a third of the price of Prescott, I don't think we've downgraded at all. And that is an absolutely brilliant thing to be able to say. So let me know what you think of that one. I think probably in terms of value, the steal of the summer. But you may disagree afterwards. Because we've also got Oliver Peat. He's coming on a free transfer deal. And he is a direct replacement as third choice goalkeeper, essentially. We sold Mark Ball last year. We've got Ben Barrett. We've also got our first choice goalkeeper, Afonso. But in Europe, we probably need a third now. So Oliver Peat is that man. On $8,000 a week to meet the work permit rules. He's 21 years of age and he's already an Australian international. Played loads of games in the A-League for Wellington Felix and got a pretty good concession rate as well, only just over 1 a game. But he's really solid across the board. He's already rated better than Barrett, 2.5 ability, 4-star potential, solid attributes, resolute personality, very tall and just got everything really. He's a solid goalkeeper. He doesn't really want to be first choice, he's happy to be a backup. And I could see him potentially being number 2 to Afonso for the rest of this save if he wanted. And he'll definitely get games in Europe, including our first one in the next episode. And there's 2 more signings left, and I'm going to make you wait longer for the 88 million man. The good thing you can see on the left here is all of our business was done early. Apart from the man I'm about to introduce, the rest of them were done in June. So they've had the whole pre-season together, they've had games together. It's not been perfect, there's a few fitness issues, but aside from that, they'll know each other well. So I'm going to introduce Andrew Makinson first. He's basically come in because Prescott left. We needed a third choice striker, so we've used the loan market to do that. Makinson is coming in on loan. He's a good finisher as a centre forward. Not great physically, not the quickest, not got the best physicality. But aside from that, he's promising. 2.5 ability, 4 potential. Left-footed like Prescott. Can play in some of the attacking midfield roles like Prescott. And I just thought at 18, as an England under-19 international and on $3,500 a week, for a third choice striker, we've probably done as well as we can there. And he's certainly a good player to bolster the squad again. So I'm pretty happy with that deal. I should also mention, if I go to the squad, if we have a little look for him, Tommy Frew is unregistered for this game, but he is also back on loan for another year. It's a bit weird. We went past the end of June and his contract just never ended. It kept getting extended by a day or two. I don't know why. So in the end, we just got him here for the whole year. It's $14,000 a week. He can play 3 or 4 positions. And he was a good solid backup last year. So why not have him again? He's happy to stay. Chelsea are happy to send him here. And Tommy Frew will spend another year on our bench, giving us squad depth if we need it. So they're the 6 signings I'm very happy with. Then comes the superstar. Morgan Morrell is going to be the talking point of this episode. From Rennes for £88 million. You're probably immediately thinking, why on earth have we signed a player from Rennes for £88 million? But this is not any player. Let's go and look at Morgan Morrell. We said in the end of season review on Wednesday, we were looking for a new number 10. Now what I didn't realise is Carl Boyce, who we've been playing as the deep line playmaker for 2 years, if we go and have a quick look at him, he's a natural in the number 10 and a complete natural as well. And if you look at his defensive attributes, it arguably suits him better. So we then had the option of, do we get an attacking midfielder or a central midfielder? So what I'm going to start with before we meet Morgan is the man that we almost signed, which is NSYNC, not the band. He's coming from Brighton and we had a deal agreed for $47.5 million. And I got a little bit put off by my scouts and I'm not quite sure why. They've rated him 3-star and I had a 57 or 58 rating on him. And if you look at his attributes, I can't work out why, because to me he looks world class. His record suggests he's world class and I will still go for him next time we've got money. But as it stands, he was the less of 2 good players. He will come in eventually and join that midfield triangle. However, we could not turn this man down, despite him being a record signing on the wage bill and in terms of transfer fee. Morgan Morrell from Rennes, here he is. What a player. 4.5-star ability, 5-star potential. He's just come in as a 21-year-old with 20 caps for France, nearly scoring 1 in 2 from central midfield. He's played over 130 league games for Rennes and he has scored at a rate of 1 in 4. He's a good free kick taker, he's a good corner taker, he's a very good leader. Physically, mentally, technically superb. The perfect playmaker. I'd argue, if you give him a couple of years, he'll be as good as Xavi. So for $135,000 a week, and now worth $60 million after joining, I feel this deal's worth it, and I'm sure some of you will say I've still paid over the odds, but this man will be here till the end, and he will be a superstar till the end. Morgan Morale is our new best player, and we are going to absolutely rely on him. He likes to shoot from distance, he's got a good long shot. He likes to cut inside if he plays wide, which he can do. He runs with the ball, he dictates the tempo. He can do everything. He can pass, dribble, he's got good technique. His vision's exceptional. His decision making's brilliant. He's determined. His natural fitness is unbelievable for 2 games a week. He just seems like the perfect midfielder. If we could have got him and NSYNC, it would have been brilliant. As it is, we've got one of them, and I believe we've got the best one. He's had a bit of a tough start to pre-season because he's come back from French international duty. He's been playing in the World Cup, and he played 7 games, so France must have got to the final, did they? Or is it the new format? Let's have a look at where they got. They're first in the world rankings, so they must have got there by having a very good World Cup. They won the World Cup, and Morgan Morale started the final. So there you go. We have signed a World Cup winner just before he won it, and he played in the World Cup final on the winning team. He played in the semi-final on the winning team. He played in the quarter-final and was exceptional. He played in the last 16 and was one of the best players. He played in the second round. He was one of the better players, 9.0. And in the group stages, again, he just stood out. It's been absolutely brilliant to see. Morgan Morale, one of the players of the World Cup, in a side managed by Jurgen Klopp, is now our new best player. Who would have thought you'd get that at Dorking Wanderers? At 21 years old, probably the best signing we'll ever make in FM. So of course, as promised at the start, not the most transfer business we'll ever do in a summer, but some of the biggest. If we could have got NSYNC as well, it would have been perfect. The budget suggests we might be able to in January. We've got 30 million remaining, the bank balance is looking good, and we've got European football. Though for the Europa League 2, we need to qualify for the group stages, and we're not seeded because we've never been in Europe before. And we also need to work out how much finance is in there, because I don't really know the prize money, I don't know anything along those lines. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to work for us. 250 grand for appearing in this round, that's not a huge amount. Certainly not Champions League or Europa League rate, so we'll wait and see. After this one, which is I think the 3rd qualifying round, is it? Let's go back and have a quick look. It is the 3rd qualifying round. So we've also got a 4th one before the group stage. I think that's the one that in our live stream series we had Burnley against Bilbao with, which will have the second leg and decider next Tuesday. We left that on a knife edge. But for us, I really hope we can get through. We're a good side, and if we get to the group stages, I'd fancy us to go all the way. But let's have a quick look around as well. There is exciting news off the pitch at Dorking. We've got good team cohesion and a decent dynamic behind the scenes before we get into the season. Jack Walker's having to stay here, I'm afraid. 4th choice centre-half, but he'll forgive us when he's playing in Europe. We've also got other competitions. We're around later in the Carabao Cup, of course, and we want to go on a real run in the domestic cup this year. And we've got a bigger squad now, so hopefully with the right draw, we'll be able to do that. And then before we go and look at where we're expected to finish this year, let's have a look at the board expectations, because it also shows us our stadium's being expanded. We're going up to around 27,000 if I remember rightly. So at the moment 21,430. It doesn't say anything there, but we know it's about 27. So we're going to get excited for that one. It's still in the planning stage actually. I'm a little bit concerned that hasn't started happening yet. They still say planning. So maybe it won't happen next year. But either way, the training and youth facilities are there as well. We are starting to notice a few little glitches at the moment, so I'm hoping they won't come into these improvements. But otherwise, a top half finish is expected. And combining that with our first European season is going to be difficult. But we'll be aiming for that 5th and 6th again and getting into Europe for the 2nd year. Maybe the full Europa League next season. Will that be from winning the Europa League too? We'll wait and see. We've got to reach the 5th round of the FA Cup, the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, and the final of the Europa League 2. So we need friendly draws to get to that group stage. We've got another year and a half on our contract. We've got to keep getting a top half finish, and I'm pretty confident that we can do all of that. We've got good job security. Everything else is looking good. So now we've just got to see what the media think of our squad. And if we go to the season preview, they expect us to finish 10th. So just about in the top half, but much below that top 7. So Leicester must have improved a bit this summer, because they weren't that far ahead of us before. Newcastle, our first opponents in the league, which will be the next episode on Monday, they're expected to finish 8th, so that'll be a good barometer of where we're going to be. And then Brighton in 12th, if we could have nicked NSYNC, I think they would have been right down there. He's a star player for them, and it's the one that got away this summer, to be brutally honest. So that's how our summer transfer window has looked. Let me know down in the comments what you think of it. Who's going to be the star? Am I right to have spent 88 million on Morgan Morale? And the sales like Martin Prescott? I think they're good value, but do you agree? If you did enjoy the episode, please put a thumbs up on it. We'll be back on Monday for the big 2 first games of the season. Our first ever European match with Dorking Wanderers as we head to Dinamo Bucharest, and in a home game against Newcastle, expected to finish above us by the media. Are they one of the sides we're going to be able to topple? We then play the champions Chelsea. It doesn't get much easier. If you haven't already, subscribe down below for daily FM20 content, as well as weekly live streams, a brand new FM20 series starting on the channel next Sunday at 1 PM, and our stadium review series continues every Sunday too. Please do check out the podcast channel in the eye above. There's loads of interviews, vlogs and predictions for different competitions. It's really growing quickly and we're having a great time at the moment. So thank you for your support and I hope you continue to enjoy the content. And of course, as always, a massive thanks for following this series as we start yet another season with Dorking Wanderers. And our first one in Europe is one to relish. So I hope you'll join me on Monday to see how we do in our first game.